Welcome back to Joe Stunner Boxing. I was sitting here in my flat on a boring Sunday thinking, shall I do one of those, top 10 pound for pound lists, which I normally start. It's normally a sign that I'm bored stiff when I start thinking in those terms. And I thought, I can't be arsed, But one thing did occur to me, which I think in a year which has been very, very poor for the men's game in boxing. Am I overreacting? Very, very poor. All right, I'll compromise. Just very poor. PEDs, rife, obviously, we know. Big fights not being made like Crawford Spence. All sorts of mismatches under the guise of world title fights like Fury Chisora, which was garbage. And I don't think it's been the best year, put it that way. Let's put it that way. Maybe I am overreacting a bit, but it hasn't been a particularly good year, I don't think. But there have been good fights, as there always are, even in bad years. But one thing that really sort of occurred to me, which I thought I'd share with you, was that when I was thinking about the top pound for pounders, my top three, and you may disagree with this, you may disagree, that's fine. I'm just saying what my top three are. In no particular order, because I couldn't really put them in an order, would be Usyk, INOUE and Crawford. Those are my top three, all right? And when you think about it, all three of those, they're very different styles of fighting, and they're also different sizes. I mean, you've got the heavyweight, Usyk, Crawford, 147, and then you've got 118, which is INOUE. So it covers virtually the whole gamut of the weight divisions. And I think it's great that we've got three, even if you don't think that they're the top three. I mean, if you might have Canelo, say, in there, or I don't know, Bivol or someone. Those three are in the top 5, 6, 7 at least, okay? And it's really good that we've got pound for pounders, really excellent fighters who are not only showing, a different type of style, a different way to go about your boxing, but also they're different weights. Tiny guys like INOUE right up to heavyweights, showing real skills and the real art of boxing in different formats. So if you were a young kid, and you wanted to learn how to box or something, and you were shown those three fighters, I mean, depending on what size you are, perhaps you'd pick if you're a small guy, you might go for INOUE. If you're a bigger guy, you might choose Usyk. And if you're somewhere in the middle, a welterweight or a middleweight, you might think Crawford's more suitable to your style, to what you can do. But it's very interesting because, on the one hand, you've got Usyk, who is this, extremely mentally strong. I mean, all three of these guys are incredibly mentally strong, but Usyk dominated totally at cruiserweight, went on a really good run, beating lots of top guys at cruiserweight, won the, that tournament that the Sauerlands ran, moved up to heavyweight, has fought naturally bigger guys and handled them with relative ease. The only possible issue he had was early on against Chisora, where he had to adjust, but at no point was he in any real trouble against Chisora. And he beats Joshua twice, which is no mean feat, to put it mildly. So Usyk, highly intelligent, very high ring IQ, extremely good under pressure, knows how to contain, maybe diffuse an opponent's attributes. I mean, let's say, obviously, if you're talking about Joshua, power would be an issue. Joshua didn't hurt Usyk at all, really, in the whole 24 rounds that he fought him. 9th round of the second fight, Usyk was mildly, rumpled, disgruntled a little bit. But if you look back at the fight, he wasn't really that badly hurt. And Joshua was trying to really put it on him. So he's got a good chin, Usyk. But really knows how to dissect a guy. And lovely movement, great footwork, every punch in the book. Stung Joshua in the first fight. I mean, towards the end, that last round for Joshua in the first fight was horrendous. Had there been a 13th round, Joshua probably wouldn't have come out for it. So the guy mixes together all the great attributes, all the great skills, and the mental elements as well, to really have not a traditional heavyweight style, not a style that is either pure boxer, pure puncher. It's almost a hybrid of all different types of styles, and he adapts, depending on the opponent, to piece them together. And that's why, even though he will be dwarfed by Tyson Fury if they ever fight, you cannot rule him out of a victory, as good as and as big as Fury is. So that's Usyk. Then you got Crawford. Again, ice water in the veins, very, very mentally strong. Again, another guy who dissects his opponents, but not quite as unconventional as Usyk. Tends to have a look in the first round at the opponent and then go to work. Hits harder than he's given credit for. His footwork is more economical. Uses his feet beautifully. Controls the range excellently. But you don't see many pirouettes or semicircles. You see a lot of a little bit of lateral movement. I think of some of the fights. Yeah, a little bit of lateral movement. But not scared to fight in the pocket. And when he gets his engine running, as we saw against Avanesian recently, if the guy's coming onto him, no problem. He's got no problem with standing in the pocket and fighting. If the guy wants to stand off, he'll happily go after the guy. Cuts the ring off very well. And again, a very, very high ring IQ. Every punch in the book, jabs well, hooks well. No problem. You know, can fight at southpaw if he wants to, or he doesn't need to, really, does he? Just a very, very good fighter. And then you've got Inoue, this little killer. Now, obviously much faster because he's smaller. Has got one thing in his mind, and that is go and get the opposite. Go and get the opponent. Just go straight at him. Paul Butler recently survived until the 11th round by simply running and not trying to win, just trying to survive. Inoue, if you're dumb enough to go straight at Inoue, he'll chin you. It's as simple as that. Two fights this year. The Donaire rematch zapped him in 2 rounds, and even though Donaire is 40 or whatever he is, he was looking the part, really looking the part before that. He had his own title, and he'd beaten a couple of very good opponents. He was going into that rematch with Inoue, but no one thought Inoue would get rid of him in 2 rounds. I mean, Donaire is a Hall of Famer himself, and Inoue just wiped him out. And again, I'll get back to the word dissection, because Inoue will go for you, but he doesn't do it in a reckless way in any shape or form. He will cut the ring off beautifully. He uses his feet to get into position. At no point does he appear off balance. Even when he's firing 4, 5, 6 punch combinations, he never looks off balance. Holds his shape beautifully. Every punch is hurtful. Works the body beautifully. And that's something that both Usyk and Crawford do. But with Inoue, I think his body work is especially potent. And an absolute killer, and has proven himself through adversity. Because in the first fight with Donaire, he had a broken jaw and a broken orbital bone. I mean, to come through that is a hell of that shows immense, again, mental strength. Psychologically, he is a fighter. So if you look at those 3 fighters, 3 very different styles. I mean, you could probably drag out a few common denominators if you wanted to, and yeah, I accept that they're different sizes, so their styles will be different, but they're actually taking bits and pieces from all different styles and putting them together, and they have them when they need them. If Inoue had to box on the back foot, had to fight on the back foot, he can do it. Crawford has shown again and again, he can go after a guy, or he can let a guy come to him. Usyk, an absolute master at controlling the opponent, containing the opponent. And all 3 absolutely fully aware that in championship fights they've got 36 minutes to get their work done. All 3 capable of pacing themselves beautifully. And all 3 as dangerous, not just in terms of power, but in terms of mindset, concentration, focus, in the 12th round as they are in the first round. All 3 capable of turning the screws, of really upping the ante and going through those gears. I love all 3 of those fighters. And if I was a an up-and-coming fighter, if I had a, I don't know, a son who wanted to be a fighter, those are definitely three fighters who I would ask my son, or if I was a trainer, you know, whoever I was training, I'd say, look at these three guys, absorb all their fights. You know, no one is unbeatable. No one. But what you can do is maximize your talent. And if you've got talent on the level of an Usyk, a Crawford, or an INOUE, if you maximize that, you're going to be very, very difficult to beat. Very difficult, you know. The old saying is, there's always the antidote for any style. But with those three, I mean, in the case of Usyk, Fury might beat him because of his size. If they were roughly the same size, and without question, I'd pick Usyk to win. Although I don't say that as a slight towards Fury, who's a very, very talented boxer. But I just think Usyk would probably outpoint him. As things stand, I would probably pick Fury to beat Usyk because he's too damn big. There's too much mass there. Crawford, Spence, yeah, if Spence got in the ring, Spence could beat him. I would favour Crawford at this point. But Spence is a great fighter too, very good fighter. That's why they need to fight, for their legacy. And of course, Crawford is he 35 now? I think Spence is slightly younger, but they need to fight. And Inoue, well, if he moves up too far, I mean, he's looking at Stephen Fulton probably next at Super Bantam. But yeah, maybe he'd come a cropper. It's possible. You can move up too many divisions. And while I don't like judging fighters while their careers are going on, I think it pays to just see how things pan out, let the dust settle, and then make a historical judgment. All three of those, without question, Hall of Famers. So, but that's what I think. I think that's a real positive that we have three pound for pound fighters in the top three, my top three, top five maybe, who have such different styles but are so effective at what they do. I think that's real positive. It proves that boxing is an art form, and that boxers, no matter what your natural style is, if you hone it correctly and you cultivate it, you stay. I don't want to sound like Floyd Mayweather, but it's hard work and dedication. But if you do that, it can pay some real dividends. Some real dividends. Anyway, let me know what you think. Leave your comments below. And yeah, thanks for listening as always. Thanks for subscribing. If you're new to the channel, you could subscribe. That'd be brilliant. And of course, like the video as well. That helps us out. In the meantime, as always, take care, and we'll speak again soon. Bye-bye for now.